How you do that, Dale? Yeah, how you do that, Dale? I ain't mad about it, no. I and your man's Nic Rattlehead. And behind this camera, somewhere out in California, watching over your boy right here who is about to nerd the heck out, is my buddy, my pal, my compadre, my amigo. My man's with the master plan, 100 grand, only you, me, and God knows how much I love this guy, man. Yeah. Tell him one more time, what's your name? Matt the Graff. Matt the Graff. And we are Aftershock Reviews, here to give you the best extreme music reviews. And today I bring before you the list. It's time. Everybody's favorite time of the year, right? List week. And this week, it is time that we give you ours. So maybe Matt can put some type of really cool vocal effect on it and make it sound epic. But today we go over Aftershock Reviews. Best albums of 2021. Yeah, it's hard. We're ready for it, man. And I want to go ahead and start with honorable mentions. Now, I'm going to blaze through these to get to the top 10. But these albums had to be mentioned. They had to be mentioned. I had to say something because we have to exercise some type of self-control. When we say top 10, keep it at top 10. But there are still albums that are so phenomenal that you still have to at least mention their names. And I'm going to start with number 4. That is Not Dark Yet by Fluids. Really great album. If you love Mortician, if you love the gory side of death metal or the gory side of grindcore, but still like things to be a little bit more straightforward, right? You're going to love Not Dark Yet by Fluids. It's absolutely fantastic. Just as garish and hard to look at as Ignorance Exalted from last year. But the new dynamic comes with the new vocalist. And at first, like I said before in the review, I didn't know what to think of it. But after hearing him from Thorns and now hearing him in this album, he fits like the glove, man. It's great. It's great. You might as well call him Gary Payton, call him the glove. It's so absolutely wonderful, man. The name of this album again is called Not Dark Yet by Fluids. My number 3 album will be, let me tell you, Silk Sonic, An Evening with Silk Sonic. I love 70s funk. I was raised on it. That's what I come up listening to, right? So when I listen to Silk Sonic, I love what Anderson .Paak did. I love what Bruno Mars did. I love the inclusion of Bootsy Collins. Songs like 777, songs like Smoking Out the Window, songs like Skate, songs like Put on a Smile, songs like the lead single, Leave the Door Open. This album is absolutely fantastic. Fly As Me, the James Brown element, so far as that song is concerned, they've done their homework on how to craft it's an honest expression of their love for that sound. It is an honest expression of it. And I feel it with every note that they sing. Bruno in the background, Anderson singing a majority of the freaking verses here. This is a good album. This is a phenomenal album. Everything that it's getting so far as its adulation is concerned, so far as the awards that it's nominated for, it deserves them all. And I highly suggest this album to anybody who is just starving for some good soul, for some good R&B. The name of this album again is called An Evening with Silk Sonic by Silk Sonic. Now we go into our number 2 honorable mention, and that is Lucifer IV by Lucifer. This is a great album, and it is a great continuation, a great evolution of their sound. From Lucifer to Lucifer 2 to Lucifer 3, you start to see them experimenting with different aspects of hard rock, right? And you, yet again, with Lucifer 1, you got the Black Sabbath worship. With Lucifer 2, Blue Oyster Cult, Deep Purple, all the rest of that stuff starts to come into play. Lucifer 3 shines that up, but then Lucifer 4 says, you know what? I don't like it being this shiny. Let's put a little bit more dirt on it. Let's bring back a little bit more of the sludgy, doomy aspects in Lucifer 1, a la the Black Sabbath worship, and let's bring in some more Kiss and the other things into this, and it makes this a sound that's almost uniquely theirs, and I really love it. The songwriting is great. Johanna Sadonis' vocals, I cannot praise enough. The shredding, the solos, everything is primo when it comes to this album. Again, this album is called Lucifer IV by Lucifer. And my number 1 honorable mention, which just goes to show how great this year was for music, is Sinner Get Ready by Lingua Ignota. I love this album. I think it's great. The emotional weight of this album is so overbearing, and it's almost to the point where you can't take it. It takes me multiple listens to really get a grasp of what's going on here. But from the subject matter of her trying to find God and find religions, trying to find Jesus, but instead not finding her. And then on top of that, the people that she looks up to, the people that she values, the people that she says, like, these are my people, right? And being disappointed in them, being let down by them, and then feeling isolation and the rest of this, right? And then dealing with these emotions and putting them to wax. And then to come to the conclusion that she does by the end of the album, which is almost a complete and total pump fake from the way that the track initially begins. It's really good. It's really good. Gone are all of the heavy electronics of Caligula and all bitches. Now, all of that is gone. All of it is gone. And instead, we get dry horns, almost like dry saxophone mouthpieces and things of that nature. You get a lot of banjos. You get broken guitars. You get strings being scratched into the microphone. You get a lot of these different things. And her unhinged vocal delivery is absolutely wonderful. She can sound pitchy at times. She can sound tinny at times. But it works. It all works. And it all makes it sound so authentic of the atmosphere, of the area that she's recording this in, or she's making reference to, which is Pennsylvania, right? This is a very complex album, but it is a very rewarding listen. I highly suggest this album to anybody. The name of this album again is called Sinner Get Ready by Lingua Ignota. Now, let's do it. Let's get into it. The top 10 albums, the best albums of 2021. Now, 80% of these albums I had just so much fun with. And I think that's the overarching theme of this list. If I really didn't have too much fun with it, it really didn't have a lot of replay value with me, which is okay. But I really wanted to have fun this year. So 80% of these albums, and pay attention to that, 80% of these albums, I hit replay because I was laughing or I was just headbanging and all the rest of these things. A lot of these stuff doesn't really have like emotional depth to it, like A Sinner Get Ready. But it didn't need to. Just as long as it made me smile, just as long as it made me laugh, or just as long as it made me forget about my day, or forget about things that were happening around me, but instead be just so into the music, immersed in the music. That's what made me play it again. That's what made me have fun with it. And that's why they're here. And I want to start it out with our number 10 album. Our number 10 album will be Tortured Whole by Sanguisugabogg. Like I said, I had to have fun with it, so you can put the pitchforks down, don't kill me. I know the snare tone can be overbearing to a lot of people. That poing, poing, poing. I know, I get it. Understandable, right? The subject matter can be just a little much for some people, right? Yet again, get it. Completely understandable. But these things made me laugh. These things made me chuckle. And when you're talking about making an immersive experience, right? The music videos were equally ridiculous, right? And then on top of that, songs like Gored in the Chest or Dragged by a Truck or Dick Fillet or Dead as Shit, right? Like all of these different songs were so much fun, but they were also so gross and so grimy. And look, that drop G really works for them, right? On top of that, there's a lot of intricate riffage when it comes to this album, but you get distracted by the poing, 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 or you're talking about like curdling white juices or whatever else like that, right? You get distracted by that. But if I challenge you to go back and listen to this. Are they reinventing the wheel? No, they're not. But it's this straightforward, fun, just thick and chunky death metal that just really sizzles Nick's bacon. I love this. This was a great album. And it is called Tortured Whole by Sanguisugabogg. And that is the number 10 album of 2021. But let's move on to number 9. And that album will be Garden of Burning Apparitions by Full of Hell. I really did enjoy this album. I did. It took me a minute to really get my bearings with it, but that's because it's not as accessible as Weeping Choir. It's not as accessible as Trumpeting Ecstasy or the Merzbow Split or Rudiments or anything else like that. But it's still is furious. It's still blinded with rage, right? It's so wonderful. The noise pieces, the both of them, right? The more I listen to the album, the more I can really appreciate them. And they are a huge step forward from the noise pieces when it came to Weeping Choir. I really enjoy those, right? The noise rock elements that find themselves introduced when it comes to Reeking Tunnels and other tracks such as that, right? It's really good. Industrial Messiah Complex, which is just a good throwback. 2 tracks from Weeping Choir and from Trumpeting Ecstasy, the Kurt Ballou years, right? This album is a lot of ideas that I've heard before from Full of Hell, but they are still just as good. They're still just as meaty. I really like this album a lot. And maybe it's just because I just really like Full of Hell as a band. But I still highly suggest this album. I really do. It's wonderful. And the name of this album is called, again, Burning Apparitions by Full of Hell. And that is our number 9 album, of 2021. Yes, sirree, Bob. But our number 8 album, let's talk about this, because I said 80% of these albums on this list I had fun with, but that leaves 20, right? 8 out of 10. That means 2 albums really made me think. And one of those albums is Engine of Hell by Emma Ruth Rundle. It is the emotional complexity of this album that made me just fall in love with it. And how honest it is and how brave it is by being so upfront and laying itself bare in front of the listener and letting us, the audience, fully digest it. It's really good. Whether we're talking about Blooms of Oblivion, or whether we're talking about Razor's Edge, or Citadel, or Return, right? Or Body. This album really is skeletal in its instrumentation, right? Because a lot of the times it's literally just Emma with a microphone, and maybe it's just a piano, or maybe it's just a guitar. And if they really want to give it a little bit more texture, you might hear some strings in the background. And I mean in the background, right? But it's not slathered in reverb. There is no delay. There's none of that, right? It really resists the urge to try and polish itself, because that would distract you from the emotion it's trying to convey to you. And Emma Ruth Rundle is so effective when it comes to that. I love this album for its honesty, for its bravery, for its willingness to be completely transparent with us, right? This album is intimate, but it is powerful. This album is dark, but it's also transformative, right? This is a good album. This album is wonderful. And it is called Engine of Hell by Emma Ruth Rundle. And that is our number 8 album of 2021. Now, number 7 album. It doesn't even have a review yet, but we will make one. That I promise. But the number 7 album this year is Genocide Pact by Genocide Pact. This is fun. It's fun. It's fun. I've been waiting for this album since the lead single, Perverse Dominion. I've been waiting for this album since that. Why? Because it is thick. It is hulking. It is towering. It has an IQ of 1. And I love it. Love it for it. But the thing about it is it only has an IQ of 1 when it comes to the sonic delivery, right? Because it is indeed caveman death metal. But lyrically, it talks about a lot of the things that happen socially and politically, especially in the shadow of last year, right? And I love this album for that. It's smart, but it's stupid. And I love it. It's great. It's everything I was hoping, especially since I loved Order of Torment so much. I really did. And the self-titled album takes what I got from Order of Torment and then cranks it up again another 8 notches. It's good. It's absolutely good. And yet I'm trying to keep this pretty scarce because I will review this album. But our number 7 album of 2021 will be Genocide Pact by Genocide Pact. Now, let's get to the number 6 album of 2021. And what is that, Nick? I hear you asking. I got you. The name of the album is Foreverglade by Worm. I think it's great. When you're talking about a twisted maze of slimy, gurgling death doom, that is exactly what this album is. It comes from the pits of Florida, man. And in those pits, you have bubbling green slime as a river, right? You're in a beat up old canoe or beat up old boat in the backwoods of freaking Florida, right? Hoping that some type of swamp monster won't come out from the green ooze and rip your freaking head off. But that is exactly what it does. So the intro track, which is wonderful, where it has that beautiful, like reverb drenched delayed outro from the intro, where it goes like, it's good. It's good, man. It's good. And then on top of that, Subsakia's Funeral, which yet again, slathered in reverb, right? But it does a good job of taking, and I had to go back and listen to what the songwriter was talking about, where has so much influences from it when it comes to like 90s death metal, especially Death. He specifically mentions them. And he talks about, especially in Death's latter half of their career, where things get a little bit more progressive. And then the soloing gets a little bit more intricate, right? And he does a wonderful job of doing that, of emulating that, but making sure that it stays his, right? The album is immersive. The album is atmospheric, and the album is fun, and the album is threatening. Everything that I need from a Death Doom album is here in spades, buddy. It's good. It's good. And the number 6 album of 2021 will be Foreverglade by Worm. It's good. It's good. This is good. And the number 5 album, let's talk about it. I'm really hype about this one, because the number 5 album is Psychedelic Realms of Hell by Wharflurch, aka Flurchy. Listen, I love stoner rock, stoner metal, right? I love death metal. I love doom metal. And all of these things are here, right? And what they do is they wrap it all up and put a Twilight Zone bow on it, and then they have Rod Serling hand it to you. It's absolutely wonderful. But here's the thing though, Rod Serling is probably high off shrooms. He's probably like tripping balls from freaking shrooms, right? Everything. This album is very unique when it comes to those elements, right? Very unique, especially when you're talking about tracks like Stoned Ape Apocalypse, right? I have to make sure I'm enunciating that correctly. Stoned Ape Apocalypse. Heavy riffs, man. Great vocals, slathered in reverb, so it feels cavernous, right? Like it's echoing throughout the atmosphere that you have been submersed in, right? It's good. It's absolutely good, and it's fun. That's the most important thing. That is the most important thing. The album is fun, and therefore, since it is so much fun, and it does make you chuckle, right? Especially with the Tribe Called Quest robotic vocal that like interludes you to multiple tracks. Like if one track ends, it's like transitioning you to another one, just like off of Midnight Marauders. It's good. It's good. It's good, man. And if you have not listened to Psychedelic Realms of Hell, I'm telling you right now, you should give it a shot, because it is so much fun. And I promise, Rattlehead's promise, Scout's honor, right? You will not be disappointed. The name of this album again is called Psychedelic Realms of Hell by Wharflurch, aka Flurchy. Yeah. Now, number 4. We get into the nitty gritty. Because the number 4 album is An Unknown Reality by Gatecreeper. Now, this album, and I think it's an album, this album is no more than like 17 minutes long, right? With an 11-minute closer. Put that in perspective, right? But they have this great grinding death metal sound that starts from Starved, and it ends when it gets to the death doom black metal thing that is Emptiness that ends the album. The thing is wonderful. I don't even want to say they leave their ideology of stadium death metal behind. They evolve it. They stretch it. They turn it on its head and then make it something else that's new, right? And then when you're talking about Chase Mason, his vocals do things that I have never ever heard him do. I adore this album because of how adventurous it is. I adore this album because of how different it is. And on top of that, they execute everything beautifully. Just beautifully. If you have not given this album a shot, yet again, still, Give this a try, man. You will not be disappointed. Super Spreader? I'm just saying. Oh, it's good. The name of this album again is called An Unknown Reality by Gatecreeper, and it is our number 4 album of 2021. Now, number 3. This one's fun. This one's great. And it is called A Diabolic Thirst by Spectral. Listen to me. Frigid and Spelled, if you don't listen to any other track from this album, if you don't, just listen to Frigid and Spellbound. That alone makes this a number 3 album. That track alone makes this a number 3 album, but it's not just that. Fair Lucifer Sad Relic, that track makes it a number 3 album. The opener makes it a number 3 album. This album is absolutely fantastic. Atmospheric black metal done to perfection. It's good. There's really not much to say about it because is it doing anything different from other atmospheric black metal albums? No. But yet and still, I don't care if you're not breaking the mold, so to speak. You don't have to. Just make it fun. Just make it out of love and make sure that you're doing it correctly. That's all I ask. If you do all those different things, I'm going to dig the album and I'm going to have fun with it. You don't have to be forward thinking all the time. You just don't. Just make it good. And that's exactly what Spectral Wound does here. And I adore this album. It's so much fun. The name of this album again is called A Diabolic Thirst by Spectral Wound. Now, let's pause this real quick. Because these next 2 albums, our number 2 album and our number 1 album, took me so long to try and in order, to try and be like, okay, this one will be my number 1 album. Because I love them both so freaking much. I really do. And the funny thing is they both came out on the same day. So I was like stomped, right? But we have to make a decision and we have to go ahead and stick to that decision. So my number 2 album will be The House is Burning by Isaiah Rashad. Woo! Big Will got that motherfucker skating hard. Chill Pill got me hot, but can I lay with y'all? Last year you was my bitch, now you my baby girl. Last year you was my bitch, now you my baby girl. I'm just saying, it's good. It's good. And the thing I love about this album, yet and still, is what Isaiah Rashad does so far as his songwriting is concerned. And he actually went ahead and said this in an interview, right? He's looking around at different things. He's observing his surroundings. And it doesn't matter if it's a billboard. It doesn't matter if it's a normal street sign. It doesn't matter what it is. If somebody's walking across the street or he observes something happening in a shop, right? All of these things he takes note of, right? And then he crafts a song around it, right? And somehow he's able to also make sure that those songs relay back to his own personal experiences, right? So what happens is we have a clearly defined main character and an atmosphere and a backdrop that is also clearly defined as well. This is wonderful. Clearly this man grew up in the South. Clearly he loves 3 6 Mafia. Clearly he loves Project Pact. Clearly he loves all of these different Southern rap legends, man. And all of their stuff finds their way somehow into this album, right? Whether we're talking about R.I.P. Young, whether we're talking about Claymore, which has a wonderful feature from Smino, right? Whether we're talking about Headshots, which is probably one of the best songs of 2021, right? Whether we're talking about Hey Mister, can I write my bitches up? Can I cool my bitches off? Can I put my bitches on? I'm just saying, it's good. It's absolutely great. Or HB2U, right? Which is just yet again a wonderful track. Or The Score with freaking Black and SZA. The album is a jazz R&B, hip-hop fused masterpiece, right? I know we love The Sun's Tirade. I do too. Sylvia Demo, love it. I do too. But I think, my personal opinion, this is the best thing he's made. This is the best thing he's made. Because this album is just, it's so fragmented, but cohesive. And I actually use the internet's favorite word, cohesive. But that's exactly what it is. It's the only word I can use to describe this. It's all over the place, but somehow it's not. And it's wonderful. It's so good. My number 2 album of 2021 will be The House is Burning by Isaiah Rashad. Number 1 album. Are you ready? Are you ready? So you already probably could tell by what happened over here. That was a clear spoiler. But my number one album of 2021 will be Celestial Blues by King Woman. And man, it feels good to say that. It feels real good to say that, because I loves me some shoegaze, I loves me some metal, and I loves me some doom. And all of that is here. The overarching theme that is being almost like ignited, spearheaded by... Can we talk about Chris Isfandiari really quickly? Because whether she's doing Dalmatian, or whether she's doing Miserable, or whether she's doing King Woman, right? She is so talented to be able to take a book that was given to her at the end of a concert, Paradise Lost, and use that as a linchpin to make this album. Whether we're talking about the title track, Celestial Blues, where it talks about her mother. It's a poem at the beginning of it, where it's her mother who comes in and helps Chris Isfandiari as she almost exorcises a demon of death away from her daughter, right? And then it goes into identity and depression and all the rest of these things and finding yourself, right? Or whether we're talking about the track Morning Star, where she literally likens herself to the character of Satan, right? Or whether we're talking about Boz, right? Or whether we're talking about, and I'm not looking at anything, Golgotha, right? Coil, Psychic Womb, right? The album is good. The album is good. And then going back to Paradise Lost, it caps the whole album off with the track Paradise Lost, right? It's good. Her vocal delivery is wonderful. Yet again, it's slathered in reverb, it's shot off in the back, but it's all encompassing. It's omnipresent, right? It's good. It's absolutely good. The riffage, especially the fat riffage on Celestial Blues and Psychic Womb. Oh, it's good, man. It's freaking good, man. It's absolutely fantastic. Songwriting, check. Instrumentation, check. Whether we're talking about like ideology behind the album, check. All of these things are here in space, even down to a visual presentation. The Morning Star music video is fantastic. The freaking Psychic Womb music video is fantastic. The freaking album cover. Look at this. Look at this. This thing is like my favorite album cover of the year, but it's so simple. It's literally her or the character of Satan with the wings just removed from her. It's marred. Beauty. It's good. It's good. No matter whatever happened to you, you are still beautiful. You just have to find that beauty within inside of you, no matter what happened to you in the past. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And it is my number one album of 2021. I cannot wait to get to 2022 and start talking about even more music. But for right now, until that time, I am your man's Nic Rattlehead. And behind this camera, somewhere out in California, watching over your boy and hopefully staying safe, is my buddy, my pal, my compadre, my amigo. The dude who makes this show work. The dude who makes this show what it is. The dude who does all the editing. The dude who cracks all the jokes. The dude who makes fun of me, which makes the videos even more fun. The dude who's just a good dude. He's just a good guy, and he is my brother. Tell him one more time, what's your name? Matt the Graff. Matt the Graff. And until next time, friends, wash your hands, support your bands. Peace. How you do that?